You think it's the explosion that gets her. The yelling. The slammed door. You think it's when you block her number or delete her from your life in a blaze of fury. But you're wrong. Those are just noises. They're loud, they're messy, and most importantly, they're a reaction. They prove you're still hooked. What really gets under her skin is infinitely quieter. It's far more dangerous. It's when you give her nothing. No storm. No final word. Just silence. The moment the man who once bent over backwards for a crumb of her attention finally stands up straight. He's calm. He's unbothered. He's gone. That shift in your energy doesn't just confuse her. It cuts her to the bone. Because she feels the exact second you become a ghost. She expected a fight. She was prepared for tears or begging. She had a script for your pain. But you handed her a blank page. Your peace is a language she doesn't understand, and that terrifies her. It's the quietest earthquake she will ever feel. The foundation of what she thought she had with you just cracks without a sound. She's left standing there, waiting for an argument that never comes, holding a bomb that didn't go off. The man who always gave, who always explained, who always forgave, has simply vanished. And in his place is a man who has chosen himself. That silence is the loudest message you will ever send. It says everything without you saying a single word. It tells her the game is over. Not because you lost your temper, but because you found your peace. And that is an outcome she never saw coming. That is what truly shakes a woman. Not the end of the world, but the beginning of yours. She's waiting for the dance to continue. She knows the steps by heart. She gives a short, cold reply to your text, and then she waits. She waits for the flood of your concern. The 3 questioning dots. Is everything okay? She pulls away, creating distance, and she expects you to rush in to close the gap. She's the director of a familiar play, and she's confident you know your lines. You're supposed to plead. You're supposed to prove your devotion. The entire dynamic is built on this rhythm. Her retreat, your pursuit. It's a cycle that feeds her, a game where she holds all the cards because she knows exactly how you'll bet. But then you do something that breaks the universe. You simply don't. Her cold text gets a calm, single-word reply. Or none at all. Her silence is met with your deeper, more profound silence. The chase ends because you stop running. And that's when the stage beneath her feet vanishes. The script she relied on is suddenly blank. Women don't fear a man who is predictably angry or reliably desperate. They fear the man who is unreadable. The man who is calm. Your sudden peace is a variable her equation can't solve. The frustration you expected to trigger in her doesn't come. Instead, it's a flicker of confusion. Then doubt. Then a cold spike of fear. She tests the boundaries again, a little harder this time. A sharper comment. A longer disappearance. She's pushing buttons on a control panel that has suddenly gone dead. No lights. No sound. No reaction. And that's the moment she realizes the terrible truth. The grip she thought she had on you wasn't strength. It was your willingness to be held. The game only existed because you were playing. You weren't a piece on her board. You were the other player. And now you've stood up from the table. The illusion of her control shatters not with the argument, but with your quiet refusal to participate. She is left alone in the echo of a game that is suddenly, terrifyingly over. Think of every argument you ever had as a fire. Your anger was the flame. Your long, pleading explanations were the fuel. She would strike a match, a sharp comment, a cold dismissal, and you would hand her an entire forest to burn. Your reaction was the energy that kept the whole thing roaring. It was heat. It was light. It was drama. And for her, that drama was a form of currency. It was proof she could move you, shake you, make you feel. But what happens when the fire goes out? The day you stop reacting is the day her power starves. She tests you with silence, expecting your anxious voice to fill the void. But you answer with a deeper, more solid peace. She throws attitude across the room, a dart aimed at your ego. It hits nothing. You don't flinch. You don't even seem to notice the dart is there. She stages a disappearance, expecting the frantic search party. But you don't follow. The trail goes cold because you stopped looking. And suddenly the game isn't fun anymore. It's hollow. The thrill was in the tug of war, in feeling the strain on your end of the rope. But when you drop the rope, her arms jerk back. The struggle she relied on vanishes. She's left pulling at air. The silence you give her isn't empty. It's heavy. It's the weight of her own actions returning to her with no buffer, no distraction. She's used to your noise canceling out the sound of her own conscience. Now there's nothing to listen to but the echo of what she's done. The fire she loved to spark in you is just cold ash. And she's left standing in the sudden, chilling quiet, holding a box of matches that no longer light anything at all. The control she thought she had was just your permission to be controlled. And you have quietly, peacefully taken it back. Your silence becomes a glass wall. She can see everything clearly now, but she can no longer touch what's on the other side. There's no distortion. No filter. For the first time, there is nothing standing between her and the consequences of her own choices. You were always the buffer. Your explanations gave her a way to justify her behavior. Your anger gave her a villain to blame. Your begging gave her a measure of her own value. But now, with all that noise gone, all that's left is the cold, hard surface of the truth. And she has to stare into it. She is alone with the reflection of the person she became. There are no more arguments to twist into weapons. No more apologies to use as band-aids for her guilt. The room is empty. The only thing echoing is the memory of your kindness thrown back in her face. She remembers the nights you stayed up trying to solve a puzzle she was actively breaking. She remembers the weight of your patience when all she offered was indifference. She recalls the sound of your voice, steady and sure, trying to build a bridge while she was setting fires on the other side. Those memories are no longer sweet. They are accusations. Every time you forgave her coldness, every time you accepted a crumb of her attention as a feast, it all plays back in high definition. And there is no escape. You are not there to absorb the blow. You are not there to tell her it's okay. This is her reckoning, and it happens in perfect, unbearable quiet. The mirror doesn't lie. It shows her the cost. It shows her the man who would have walked through walls for her, now standing peacefully on the other side, having built a new world where those walls don't exist. She has to confront the fact that the broken thing she's looking at wasn't broken by you. You were just the one who kept trying to glue it back together. Now she's holding the pieces and she has no idea how they fit. This is the real pain. Not the loss of your love, but the confrontation with her own role in destroying it. The silence you've gifted her is the kind that screams. It's the sound of her own conscience, no longer drowned out by the drama she created. And in that silence, she has to finally listen to the one voice she's been trying to ignore all along. Her own, asking the one question she never wanted to answer: what did I do? The reflection is unforgiving. The person staring back is the one who had everything and treated it like nothing. And that is a truth that is far louder than any word you could ever say. This is what she never prepared for. The complete absence of a storm. She braced for impact. She put on armor for a war she was sure you'd declare. She expected the clenched fists of bitterness, the sharp words of revenge. But you gave her nothing to fight against. Instead of darkness, she sees an unsettling light. You aren't angry. You aren't even sad. You're free. And that is a sight more terrifying than any rage. She thought the ultimate punishment was the loss of your love, but she miscalculated. The real consequence was you rediscovering yourself without her. She watches the man emerge that she hasn't seen in years. The man who laughs from his stomach, a sound that isn't filtered through anxiety. The man who sleeps through the night, his peace no longer a hostage to her moods. You move through the world with a lightness she can feel from across the room. This isn't an act. This is a resurrection. And it terrifies her because it's real. She sees you and you look relieved. The weight of her presence, the constant tension of managing her chaos, is gone from your shoulders. You stand taller. Your eyes are clear. You are not pretending to be happy. You have simply removed the source of your unhappiness. And that source was her. This is the sharpest cut of all. Your freedom is a living, breathing entity that proves she was never the prize she believed herself to be. She was the obstacle. You don't need her validation to feel like a man. You don't crave her attention to feel alive. Your sense of worth is now generated from within, and that is a fortress she has no tools to breach. She thought she held the key to your happiness, but you've changed the locks and built a better home. The man who once seemed to orbit her world is now the center of his own universe, and it's a brighter, more peaceful place. Her power was always an illusion you sustained by needing something from her. But you need nothing now. You are complete. And in the face of that wholeness, she feels smaller than ever. She didn't just lose a boyfriend. She lost her greatest source of validation. She lost the audience for her performance. The stage is dark and you are no longer in the seats. You are out in the world, living a life that has no part for her to play. That is the blade that twists deepest. Your happiness is the final, unanswerable argument. It proves that the best thing she ever did for you was let you go. This is the equation she never understood. She mistook your dedication for dependency. She confused your loyalty with a leash she held. But here is the brutal, simple math of it. She never owned you. She was merely granted a privilege. A temporary pass to the resources of you. Your time was a gift you offered. Your attention was a spotlight you chose to shine on her. Your patience was a deep well you allowed her to draw from. She thought these were payments. Rent she was owed for the privilege of her presence. But they were never transactions. They were offerings from a king, and she thought she was the ruler of the kingdom. The day you reclaim your throne is the day the illusion shatters. It's not a dramatic eviction. It's a quiet, administrative change. The keycard she used to enter your life simply stops working. The password she whispered to get your forgiveness no longer computes. You change the locks not with anger but with a calm, final turn of the bolt. You don't block her path with a wall of hate. You simply remove your energy from the space she occupies, and the ground she stood on vanishes. She shows up for her usual withdrawal from your account of goodwill, and the window is closed. The funds are gone. The power she thought was hers was just the energy you were supplying. The control she felt was the gravity of your care, and you have stepped out of the orbit. Now she floats untethered. She realizes the terrible truth. The throne she sat on was your lap. The crown she wore was your devotion. The kingdom she ruled was the territory of your heart, and you are the sole sovereign. You haven't banished her with a decree. You have simply stopped recognizing her authority. The access has been revoked. Not because you are petty but because you are protective. You are now the guardian of your own peace, and her presence is a threat to the national security of your soul. She is on the outside looking in at a life she can no longer touch. She can see the light in the windows but the door is permanently closed. And the sign on the door doesn't say, "Keep out." It just says, "Closed." The most humbling moment of her life is realizing she was never the landlord. She was just a tenant. And you have decided not to renew the lease. The strange part is where you start to appear. It's not in the places she expects. It's in the empty moments. The quiet drive home. The last few seconds before sleep claims her. The lull in a conversation with someone new. That's when your ghost decides to visit. And it's not the memory of a fight or a dramatic goodbye. It's the quiet, mundane moments that now scream the loudest. The memory of you waiting in the rain without complaint. The way you'd listen, really listen when she spoke about her day. The sound of your laugh, the one that seemed to come from a place of pure, unguarded joy, a sound she realizes she hasn't heard in a very long time. These are the things that ambush her. They play in a loop and there's no off switch. You become a permanent resident in the museum of her mind, and every exhibit is a testament to your character. She sees the stark contrast now. The man who was a fortress of loyalty standing against the backdrop of her casual storms. The one who carried the weight of the relationship with a quiet strength, while she was busy testing how much weight he could bear. The memory of your devotion becomes an accusation. Every time you forgave her, every time you chose to stay when she gave you a reason to leave, plays back in perfect, painful clarity. And the final haunting image layered over it all is your silence. The deafening calm of your exit. That is the ghost she can't exorcise. A loud argument fades. A dramatic scene becomes a story. But a quiet departure? That lingers. It leaves room for interpretation, for doubt, for the terrifying question, what if I had done things differently? You are unforgettable not because of what you said in the end, but because of everything you never got to say. The potential of what you could have been together, a potential she systematically dismantled, now tortures her. She is haunted by the man who would have crossed oceans for her, but finally, wisely, decided not to get his feet wet. The man who stopped trying becomes a sharper, more persistent memory than the man who tried too hard. Because the man who tried proved her value. The man who stopped proved his own. And that is a lesson that echoes in the silence you left behind, a silence she now has to fill with the echoes of her own regret. You are no longer a person to her. You are a question she can never answer. A standard against which every other man will be measured and found wanting. You are the one who got away not because you left, but because you ceased to be hers to hold. And that kind of loss doesn't fade. It fossilizes. Then she sees it. The final, undeniable truth. It's not in a text or a rumor. It's in the way you exist in the world without her. She catches a glimpse of you across a room, and the air leaves her lungs. You aren't pretending. You aren't performing recovery for an audience. You are simply incontestably alive. There's a new ease in your posture, a relaxation in your shoulders that wasn't there before. She sees you immersed in a conversation, your hands moving freely, your head thrown back in a laugh that isn't forced or hollow. It's a sound of genuine joy, and it hits her with the force of a physical blow. This is the version of you she always heard about but never truly believed existed. The man you were before the weight of her. And now he's back, brighter and more solid than ever. She watches you with your friends, fully present, not glancing at your phone, not carrying the low hum of anxiety that was her constant background noise in your life. You are building things. Your career. Your body. Your peace. There's a momentum to you now, a forward thrust that leaves her in the stagnant past. She sees the light in your eyes, a light she remembers dimming, now burning brighter than she can stand. This isn't a man trying to prove he's okay. This is a man who is okay. And that reality is the final, crushing defeat. She thought the breakup was a pause. She believed the door was still on the latch, that she could knock and you would answer, grateful for her return. But now she understands. The door is not just closed. The entire house has been renovated. You have rebuilt the structure of your life, and there is no room for her in the new blueprint. She didn't just lose you in a moment of anger. She lost the future you. The man who would have given her the world is now building his own, and she is not a part of its geography. The potential she squandered is now a tangible reality, and she is merely a spectator. It's one thing to be left. It's another to see the person who left you not just surviving but thriving in your absence. Your happiness is the ultimate proof of your moving on. It's the silent, brutal evidence that her chapter in your story is not just over, but that the plot has advanced magnificently without her. You are the living, breathing monument to her worst mistake. And every smile she sees on your face is another nail in the coffin of what she thought she could always come back to. The man who would have done anything for her is gone. And the man who replaced him doesn't even look back. This is the lesson that settles in her bones, cold and irreversible. It's not that your love for her turned to hate. Hate would still be a connection. Hate would still mean she occupies space in your mind. The real, devastating truth is that she simply ceased to matter. The need for her vanished. She watches you from a distance, a living monument to your own peace, and the understanding dawns. She didn't lose a man who was desperate for her. She lost a man who consciously, deliberately chose her. And now he has chosen himself. That is a loss with a different weight entirely. It's gravitational. She thought she had leverage. She believed her presence was a reward and her absence was a punishment. But you have rewritten the rules. You have discovered a currency she cannot devalue, your own self-respect. The games she mastered are now obsolete. The silent treatments, the hot and cold routines, the manufactured drama, they all relied on one fundamental premise, that you were playing to win her. But you left the casino. You took your chips and walked away, realizing the only real prize was the freedom to leave. She sees you now, and you are not a man who is missing a piece. You are a man who is whole. And a whole man is the most terrifying, unpredictable force a woman like her can ever face. He cannot be controlled because he is the source of his own validation. He cannot be manipulated because his peace is not negotiable. The hardest pill for her to swallow is that she was never the prize. She was merely an option. And the moment you realized you were the grand prize, her power evaporated into thin air. She thought she had time. She believed she could push you to the edge, then pull you back, that you would always be there as a safety net. But you cut the rope. Not in a rage, but with the calm precision of a man who has assessed the situation and found it lacking. The chaos she offered is no longer a tempting mystery, it's a tedious burden. The fire she used to spark now looks like a dangerous, unstable flicker next to the steady sun of your own contentment. She is left with the chilling knowledge that she underestimated you. She mistook your kindness for weakness, your patience for permanence. And now she understands. The most powerful man is not the one who fights for a woman. It is the man who, having known her, decides his own company is superior. That finality doesn't just sting. It redefines her entire understanding of power. She didn't break you. She revealed you. And the man who emerged is someone she can never again hold captive. Your peace is the ultimate victory, and it's a victory she has to watch you enjoy alone.